We are here in San Antonio for the first time in several years as a fraternity. Welcome back, everybody. We are here to do a couple of important things, not the least of which is celebrating 125 years of Sigma Pi fraternity. When someone asks about what is the relevance of fraternities in the year 2022, it's this. This socializing, this connection, these interactions, that is what we do. It's what fraternities do. It's also why I hope we're going to be relevant for the next 125 years, and I think that starts this weekend with you guys and interacting with our undergraduates.
The main thing is really just connecting with a lot of the brothers that I've met over the last 20 years, and some lifelong friendships I developed from people around the country that otherwise I never would have met. And then when that many people stand up and recite the creed together, it just puts chills down your spine. Sigma Pi is bigger than what we realize. Our founding fathers really set up some things at the very beginning that allowed us to sustain financially when there was a break. And the fact that we've done 125 years straight is very impressive.
Brotherhood is the gathering of disparate viewpoints, of different ideas. I found it very interesting to talk to people from different parts of the country with different cultures, and you always learn something. That is the brotherhood, because I can come to a convocation or I can go to a different city and I can pick up the phone and I can call someone that I have worked with and I may not have seen for 10 years, may not have seen for 20 years. And it's like we've all of a sudden reconnected to the point where those 10 or 20 years were simply a split second, if you will.
The thing I'm looking forward to most at this convocation this week is actually getting back together as a national organization for the first time in 4 years. It is part of our tradition, it's part of our history.
I come to Convocation because I absolutely enjoy the fellowship with other fraternity members from all across the nation that I don't get to see on an everyday basis, despite the challenges of a global pandemic. To be able to see the expression on their faces, to shake their hands, that's what keeps me coming back.
One of the reasons we're here is so that we can meet folks like you and folks that are undergraduates and let them, I guess, see what a lifetime commitment really means. Because it's not just a college experience, it is a lifelong experience. You have committed to the fraternity for life.
Wow, impressive. I would like to introduce again the members of the outgoing Grand Council. So please welcome Rhett LaRose, Justin Todoroff, Brian Kariski, Kent Varney, Paul Wydra, and Larry Rovera. And congratulations to the new and at least one returning member of the Grand Council, Christian Mealy, Brian DeVoe, and Ryan Post. And while we have a moment, I would like to recognize Paul Key and the members of the Ritual Committee for their incredible work this weekend and throughout the last biennium. If the members of the Ritual Committee could please stand to be recognized. Thank you all for your hard work during the past biennium. You helped set the stage for the next biennium. The entrees will be served shortly, and we will resume our program then. Thank you. Probably the topic that has caused the most controversy and conversation since we've been here this week is whether or not this counts as one or two convocations. We are about to play the convocation attendance game. This counts as two convocations. So if everyone could please stand up, including our partners and our guests. Thank you. Now here's the trick in the first round of this. You've all been to 2 convocations because this counts as 2. So if this was your first time attending convocation, please be seated. Since we know that this counts as 2 and you've all been to 2, we're going to go right to 3. So if this is your 3rd convocation, please be seated. Okay. All right. If this counts as your 4th convocation, please be seated. All right. If this counts as your 5th convocation, please be seated. Okay, a couple more down. If this now counts as your 6th convocation, please be seated. We've got the nitty-gritty here, boys. If this is your 7th convocation, please be seated. All right. If this is your 8th convocation, please be seated. Most of the Levesque family sat down. If this is your 9th convocation, please be seated. Oh, okay. All right. If this is your 10th convocation, please be seated. All right. If this is your 11th convocation, please be seated. For what it's worth, I would be sitting down now at this point. Okay. Number 12, if this is your 12th convocation, please be seated. If this is your 13th convocation, please be seated. Oh, it's getting tough now. All right. If this is your 14th convocation, please be seated. Paul Gorman. Okay, if this is your 15th convocation, please be seated. Ooh, no one goes down. If this is your 16th convocation, please be seated. Kitch family. If this is your 17th convocation, please be seated. Okay. If this is your 18th convocation, please be seated. If this is your 19th convocation, please be seated. I believe there is one person standing. John, if this is your 20th convocation, please be seated. If this is your 21st, 22nd, 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, 30th, 31st convocation, 32nd, 33rd, 34th, Wow. Wow. Absolutely outstanding. Congratulations, Pastor Grand Sage Marino. 33 convocations. Amazing. Before we move to the next item in our program, just a special comment for those of you who sat down in the first round. If this is your first time at Convocation, I hope it won't be your last time at Convocation. I know this is the first for many of our undergraduates, our young alumni volunteers. Please come back and join us again in 2 years. Join us again in 4 years. Your attendance and participation at events like this one, it's what makes Sigma Pi fraternity strong today and will keep us strong tomorrow. So I hope the next time we play this game, many of you are back, and those of you who sat down during the first round, you can stay up for one more round. At this point, I would like to recognize the chairman of the Sigma Pi Educational Foundation, Jeff Klein.
All right, please continue to enjoy your meals. But as most of you remember, we gave out some $46,000 in scholarships earlier this month. And 5 of those recipients are here tonight. So I'd like for these 5 individuals to make their way over to my left, and we'll get a photo taken with you. Matthew DePeel from Epsilon Lambda. He was the winner of the Broker Bernard Memorial Scholarship. To Antonio Matusic, I probably butchered that name, sorry about that, from Zeta Eta chapter. Won the Tony Cyrus for Zeta Eta Scholarship. Jacob Rivera, who won the Laverne Marie Rivera Legacy Scholarship from Cal State Fullerton. Drew Carpenter, who won the Freiburg Fellowship. It's from Theta Omega. And John Kardasha from Alpha Phi, who won the Colonel Walter H. Lemon Jr. Memorial Scholarship for the 3rd time. Please give these scholastic excellence members of our fraternity your complete round of applause. Thank you all.
Another recognition. In the last 2 bienniums, we've had our 2nd Master of Ritual awarded to Matthew Gordon, who is not with us tonight, but for our friends here and on the live stream, he will receive his medallion that looks like this. So our friends on the live stream, Matthew, if you're watching, congratulations. Now it's time for us to recognize our Founders Award winner. The Founders Award is the highest recognition that Sigma Pi fraternity can award to an individual member. The men who are recognized with this award are the most outstanding among our fraternity, and they represent models of professional, personal, and fraternal success. These are the men that we hold up as paragons for the next generation of Sigma Pi men to emulate. To introduce our Founders Award winner, I'd like to call on Alpha Iota alumnus, Mike Munsell.
All right, well, thank you, Grand Sage. I'm Mike Munsell from Alpha Iota chapter at Missouri S&T in Rolla, Missouri. I'm honored to give an introduction, as best I can, for my brother and friend, Jeff Totleben, for the Founders Award this year. Jeff has done everything, and I'm not going to talk about every one of those things because we'll be here all night, but he has been a leader of our house, of our chapter, since he started in Rolla in 1987. He served the house as pledge class president, recruiting chairman, pledge trainer, second counselor, and Sage. Jeff also represented the House very well on the Interfraternity Council, and he served as the president of Rolla's IFC. More recently, Jeff served as the chairman of Alpha Iota's Capital Campaign Committee, which raised funds for the replacement of the old Sigma Pi houses, some dating to the 1930s. Led a very successful campaign to build a new modern 18,000 square foot chapter house that the actives at Rolla are now enjoying. During this effort, Jeff donated countless hours of his time and expertise to keep the campaign and the new house build on track. The campaign started in 2016, and the new house was completed in 2019. 3 years. Pretty amazing. He led the new house effort with the drive to exceed the initial and even the stretch goals for donations. And the result is, in my opinion, the best fraternity chapter house in Rolla, Missouri. And I think it can make all of us very proud. I think it's a great house for Sigma Pi's to live in. And I see a lot of nods of approval, so thank you. You would think after that, Jeff would take a break. He didn't. He is now leading alumni advisor for the recruitment of new members into the house. And I know, it's unbelievable, isn't it? Thank you. I needed a break. He is helping the guys in the house to recruit new members. We just learned today, I think we've got something like 24, 25 starting in the fall, living in-house. In Rolla, you can live in the house your first year, your fall semester of your freshman year, which is unusual, but also kind of nice. So his recruiting has really helped the house recently, and he has also connected the house and the alumni organizations with his marketing firm, a firm in St. Louis called Think Tank. And they have helped us to develop some new methods, both for recruiting new members, but also for raising new funds from our alumni to help the Building Association and our educational foundation. With that, I will welcome up Jeff Totleben.
Thank you. That's quite an introduction. Thank you, Mike. I am very grateful to be a Sigma Pi. And my most valuable friendships were formed 35 years ago when I joined the fraternity. And I'm truly honored and humbled that a few of those guys are here with me tonight. So to my Alpha Iota brothers, I want to say thank you, because this is truly your award as much as it is mine. And we all made each other who we are, so thank you once again. I really appreciate you guys and love you guys. I want to share just a quick story to expand on what Mike talked about this new chapter house in Rolla, Missouri. Alpha Iota chapter was formed in 1933. In 1946, the chapter purchased a house about 2 blocks from campus. It was a sizable house, but by the 1960s, it was already in disrepair. And it was already old then, so much so that the actives in the 60s started forming committees to explore getting a new chapter house. And when I joined the fraternity in the fall of 1987, the house was even older and more decrepit. And we kind of got away with it because we had good brotherhood, and it was charming kind of in the way that an old Wrigley Field or Fenway Park was charming before the renovations. So we got away with it for a while. And then when I was an undergrad, more committees were formed, but nothing ever came of those efforts. We had a couple of small campaigns to redo the old kitchen, make some minor cosmetic improvements, but they were just Band-Aids. And so by the early 2000s, the condition of our chapter house was such that it definitely impacted our rush efforts. And what used to be 20 to 25 man pledge classes regularly started becoming 10, 11, 12 man pledge classes, and we suffered as a result. And in the meantime, like most universities, you go to any university today, you see 3 or 4 cranes on a campus. At our campus, they invested in new dorms, new apartments, and 6 or 7 of our rival fraternity houses got new houses in the early 2000s, and we were really behind the curve so much that some of us from my era were concerned about the long-term viability of our chapter. We really were worried about the future of Alpha Iota. So we came to a crossroads of sorts. We got to do something drastic or we might die a slow death as a chapter. And we decided to go all in on building this new house. So early in the campaign, I got lucky. I had a past Founders Award winner named Wayne Lawfer give a $250,000 donation, which was very generous and added a lot of credibility. He's a 1967 alum, I believe. And then I started reaching out to a couple of my contemporaries, guys that I thought would be good donors. And I thought this was going to be easy. And a couple of people that I really trust that are very successful said to me, Jeff, I'd really like to donate to this new house, but I don't know if the current actives are worth saving. I want you to look me in the eye and tell me that they're worth saving, because I haven't been there in a while. And I knew my guys really well from my era, but I didn't know the current actives. So I said, you know what? I answered this question as honestly as I could. I said, I don't know the answer to that. Let me go spend some time and find out. So I invested some time. It's about a 2-hour drive from where I lived to the campus. And I went to a couple e-board meetings and a couple chapter meetings. And I found out some nice things. I recognized that, number one, these were really solid guys. They were a little smaller in size than we were when I was there in numbers. But the issues they were dealing with in running the chapter were almost identical to the issues that I was dealing with 30, 35 years ago. Maybe the technology and the terminology were different, but the issues were the same. And more importantly to me, the values they applied to those issues were the same. Advancing brotherhood, promoting scholarship, encouraging chivalry, diffusing culture, developing character. Those values were alive and well, and they were the framework from which they attempted to solve all their problems. So we moved forward with this capital campaign, and as it turns out, the best way to raise money for a new fraternity house is what you do is you get people engaged from all the different eras. So we started looking for volunteers from the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they were going to be era leaders, and they were going to go solicit their contemporaries for donations. One of our 1960s era leaders is here tonight. He's a 1964 graduate named Bernie Ebert. I want to give Bernie a round of applause. He was one of the workhorses of our campaign. And to me, you know, I graduated in 1991. These older guys ended up being the workhorse of our campaign. And we started out with 8 to 10 people on the committee. And by the end of the committee, this was like a 36-month project. By the end of the committee, the monthly call was up to 30 people from 6 decades that were involved in this capital campaign. And so what I got to know these guys really well, and another theme repeated itself. When we were in these committee meetings, I noticed that everybody on the campaign committee, regardless of their era, shared these same values: brotherhood, scholarship, chivalry, culture, and character. And they tried to apply them in the process of getting this new fraternity house built and raising money. And this ranged from like how we decided about going about who to hire as the general contractor, how we treated brothers that didn't donate. Like that's an awkward thing. Like here's a guy I really think is capable of donating and he didn't, but we still treated him with respect and all these same values. You don't really know what's going on in their life and we couldn't judge. But also like, conversations came up about the physical layout of the house. Does the layout of the house promote brotherhood? How do we eat meals? How do we recognize guests in our new house? Do those things uphold the creed? And I saw this thing living and breathing. So needless to say, I can honestly say that the capital campaign and the house itself lived up to the creed. And the project transformed our chapter. We had all these alumni engaged and invested in the new house. We wanted to keep this momentum going forward. So we expanded our alumni boards and we started raising more money for scholarships. And as Mike said, we started getting more involved in Rush and PR and the website development for the chapter. And now what we've got is a really good cross-section of people from the 60s all the way up to the 2020s. You know, some of these people are older than my dad and some of them are younger than my oldest son. And what's amazing about this is we're all working on the same things together. And I can honestly say that I'm looking at these people not as older or younger than me, but as equals who share the same value system. So the big takeaway for me from this whole exercise is that the ideals championed by the fraternity are enduring, Advancing brotherhood and promoting scholarship, encouraging chivalry, diffusing culture, developing character, those things don't change. That's what connects us. It connects me to you. It connects you guys to the older people in your chapter that have been there before you. It's what allowed me to have dinner last night with a man who's going to be 80 years old in 2 months and a guy who's not even legal drinking age yet that I'm not sure should have been at the table, right? And that's all good. It connects us as equals. So, I look at these men as equals, and that's really the best thing about this whole exercise. So, to me, connecting us all, sharing the same values, that is truly something worth saving for and investing in, and that's what binds us together. Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is a great award. Thank you.
We'll take pictures over there. Thank you for those comments, and congratulations again on receiving this year's Founders Award. Up next, it's time to give away some awards. To start this process, I'd like to call on our CEO and Executive Director, John Frost, who will recognize our Staff Member of the Year. John.
I want to thank everybody again for being here and joining us, especially a lot of our new guys. This is one heck of a convention, right? Give another round of applause for Brother Jeff over here. So before we start getting into some of the awards, the very first thing I'd like to do is, if it were not for certain people in our lives, men like myself wouldn't be able to do what I do. So I would like to ask for all of our spouses, wives, partners, please stand up. We want to thank you for putting up with us, for letting us do what we do. The female ladies on my staff, we want you to please stand up and be recognized for what you do for us. The staff is going to be going around passing out flowers. And I noticed the ladies here that work for staff, please, ladies, stand up because you do a lot of work for us. Okay. So one of the first awards I want to give out is we have what's called the Staff Member of the Biennial. It's been rather interesting because my staff isn't very big. So all the people that have put this into place is 10 full-time employees. That's it. And all the work that they've done to get here. And also since with the pandemic and everything, some people had to be let go and that was unfortunate. I really had a hard time trying to think who is the staff member that would get this award. Why? Because they all work hard. They've all stayed. They've all committed to this. But there is one person in particular. And I remember when he came on, and we started looking at where do we want to wind up going. And I had asked him at the time, I said, have you ever thought about fundraising? He goes, no. I go, no, you can make a career in fundraising. He has never thought of it. I was like, well, the thing is, you have the ability to relate to not only our undergraduates, but you can also relate and converse with our alumni. Since that time, over the last couple of years, we've drastically improved our alumni engagement activities. With as I mentioned earlier, over 1,000 plus alumni and friends at events. We have more events that are being planned. He's also been a big part of why we have raised over $500,000 since, the start of the year. So I would like you to please join me in congratulating Brother Jacob Camilleri from Theta Beta Chapter. Now, I will say he never played golf till he started working. And I take him out with me, and now I can't beat him. And he's beat me like 10 times in a row. And I looked at him, I said, Jacob, you probably shouldn't beat your boss. And he looked me eyeball to eyeball and said, get better. I was like, all right. Congratulations, Jacob. Now, as we move forward, we have a lot of awards to give out, and one thing I'd like to ask you to do is when your name is called, please go over there, stand with now past Grand Sage Joe Palazzolo. If I know some people aren't here, but if the individual that won is from your chapter, please also go over there and stand in his place. So we're going to start with the Michael P. Carey Award. And just a quick note before we start, and I mentioned this, if someone from your chapter wins an award but they're not here, ask somebody from your chapter to please come up and accept the award on their behalf. So the Michael P. Carey Award is presented biennially to an undergraduate member in recognition of his outstanding leadership within his chapter. Due to the caliber of leaders that Sigma Pi has seen this biennium, we could not limit ourselves to just one award winner. This biennium's winners are ideal spokesmen and serve as the faces of their chapters as respected student leaders. They are excellent models of the Sigma Pi values contained in our creed. These young men help their chapters by making critical improvements through recruitment efforts, mentoring new officers, implementing innovative ideas, and showing prudent financial management. Through their dedication, both to their chapters and institutions, these young men made their chapters the strongest and most prominent Greek organizations on their campuses. So let me tell you a little bit about each of this year's winners. The first Carey Award winner joined in the fall of 2020, became the herald of his chapter in 2021. After his term as herald was complete, he became the sage of his chapter and navigated them through some required university programming. Through his leadership, his chapter's GPA increased by 0.15, which removed the chapter off of academic probation. Our first Michael P. Carey Award winner is Brother Chase Witt, Epsilon Beta chapter at the University of Kentucky. The second Carey Award winner started as the public relations chairman for his chapter, and his work earned national recognition for its professionalism and consistency. He then became his chapter's fourth counselor before becoming his chapter's second counselor during this past semester. As the vice president of his chapter, this winner held daily check-ins with his committee chairman and designed customized approaches to helping his chapter's committee system progress. Our second Michael P. Carey Award winner is Brother Jack Correa, Iota Tau chapter at St. John's University. The third and final Carey Award winner immediately became his chapter's recruitment chairman and led his chapter to one of the top 10 largest new member classes during the fall 2021 semester. He followed that achievement by bringing in his chapter's largest spring pledge class during this past semester. As his time as recruitment chairman came to an end, he compiled a 12-page guidebook for his chapter's future recruitment chairman so they could replicate his success. Our final Michael P. Carey Award winner, he is not here, but we have shipped the award out to him, is Brother Connor Henson, Alpha Sigma chapter at the University of Arkansas. If somebody from Alpha Sigma chapter could go and accept it as well, that'd be great. Thank you. So now we have the Harold Jacobson Award. The Harold Jacobson Award is presented biennially to an undergraduate member in recognition of his outstanding contributions and leadership on campus. Yet again, this biennium, we are blessed with young men who are outstanding leaders on their campuses, and so we are going to award 3 Jacobson Awards tonight. This year's winners each received multiple awards from their campuses in recognition of their leadership roles within their Greek communities, as well as other organizations on their campuses. So let me tell you a little bit about each of this year's winners. The first Jacobson Award winner is a teaching assistant on his campus and also a tutor for low-income children in his neighborhood, a service that he performs for free. For his chapter, he serves in the role of scholarship chairman, which makes sense because he's on the dean's list and has received honors in both math and economics. In addition, he is a member of his school's club tennis team and cricket head for CASO, C-A-S-O. He also has many other roles on campus in his chapter. With that, our first Harold Jacobson Award winner, unfortunately, is not here with us, but we have shipped it for him, is Brother Krish Gupta, Ada chapter at Purdue University. The second Jacobson Award winner has received multiple campus awards, including recently being named as campus's President of the Year. He routinely creates opportunities for other campus organizations to partner with his chapter for service and fundraising opportunities. In addition, he has worked to develop a culture of excellence for his chapter and for the larger Greek system on his campus. He was also awarded the Gold Star Award for his dedication and passion to the larger campus life at his institution. The second Harold Jacobson Award winner is Brother Greg Arturi, Iota Tau chapter at St. John's University. The third and final Jacobson Award winner served as his chapter's herald in 2021. He was also elected to serve as a senator for his campus's student government and has served as the IFC president on his campus. He is the only student that was selected to serve on his Chancellor's Advisory Committee and has received several scholarships for his leadership and accomplishments. He has served as the captain of his campus debate team and vice chairman of his campus Model UN team. Our final Harold Jacobson winner is not here with us, but his brother Dil Sen, Iota chapter at UC Berkeley. Our next award is the Lyle H. Smith Award. It is presented biennially to the chapter advisor who best exemplifies and carries out the duties of his position. Just like our undergraduate awards, we are blessed to have 3 outstanding recipients of the Smith Award this year. The first Smith Award goes to a chapter advisor who personally oversaw the renovations of his chapter's house. He would even conduct some of the demolition and renovations himself while his undergraduates were in class or unavailable. On top of that, this chapter advisor provides incentives to his chapter, like buying them pizza for a job well done. But it's not just pizza. He advises them this advisor has also personally funded family dinners and sponsored brotherhood events as rewards for his chapter's hard work. He was recently also awarded his campus's Advisor of the Year Award. And a little side note I don't have here is I've had an opportunity to work with this man, and I know what he's doing up there. And this is the first Lyle H. Smith winner is Brother Eric Murrell, Alpha Mu chapter at the New Jersey Institute of Technology. The second Smith Award goes to a chapter advisor who has served in this position for a few years and is really focused on mentoring his undergraduates on living up to the fraternity's creed. He helped form an alumni advisory board for his chapter and brought in subject matter experts from all of the chapter's generations. He actively works with the chapter's executive council to help them solve problems and makes himself available to discuss a wide range of topics with his undergraduates, including personal, academic, and professional problems. I've also had a great opportunity to get to work with this man. They brought a whole lot of people here, so I think it's going to get loud. The second Lyle H. Smith Award winner is brother, and I know I'm going to say your name wrong, Peter Gorgontopoulos, Eta Upsilon chapter at the University of California, Irvine. The third and final Smith Award winner has been serving in this position since 2019. In addition to being one of his chapter's founding fathers, he has worked to create a culture of excellence at his chapter by advising his men on effective professional operations. He is not just the chapter advisor, but serves as a personal mentor to many of the undergraduates. One of his biggest accomplishments was helping the chapter navigate through the pandemic, as well as improving their relationship with their campus. He actively uses data-driven leadership in his work with his chapter and is a wealth of knowledge for his young men. I've also had the opportunity to work with this gentleman. He's not with us today, but I know those that know him know what he does. Our final Lyle H. Smith Award winner is Brother Yugi Paul, Iota Tau chapter at St. John's University. Our next award is the Justice Curtis G. Shake Award. It is presented biennially to the Province Archon who best exemplifies and carries out the duties of the position. This year's Shake Award winner took an extremely active role with his chapters and has been a tremendous asset to the executive office. This volunteer organized several province get-togethers on Zoom during the pandemic and even hosted an event to train newly elected officers in his province. He consistently works to build and foster collaboration among his chapters. He assists his chapters when they are dealing with high-level issues, including helping a few of his chapters find new chapter advisors over the last biennium. One of his chapter advisors described him as the go-to person in his province whenever there is a problem because he always responds quickly and gives his chapters great advice. His undergraduates describe him as trustworthy and always ready to help. He recently had a few new chapters join his province, and one of those chapters said that this year's winner did a great job of making the new chapters feel connected to the province. Several of his nominations also noted that they were impressed at how much work he was able to do while also completing his doctorate. This year's Justice Curtis G. Shake Award is to a man I've gotten to know over the last couple of years. He's very honest. He's direct. He'll tell you the truth, and he'll sit and he'll take phone calls at night, and he does a lot of work. I have much respect for this man. It is his second biennium in a row. From the New Jersey area province Archon, Dr. Ian Wolf, Gamma Eta chapter, Rutgers University. Now, I was informed today that if he did win, he was going to shave like a handlebar thing or something on his beard. Now we're going to get to the big ones. These are the ones that are the best of the best. These are the ones that if you see these chapters win, you want to call them and find out what are you doing. So the final awards that we'll present this evening are the Grand Sage Cup Awards. These awards are presented biennially to honor the top chapters in each tier, demonstrating superior overall performance. The winners are selected from the Grand Council award-winning chapters. If you recall at lunch the other day, we gave out the Grand Council Awards. The 4 chapters that will be honored tonight have excelled in every way over the past 2 years. Determining the winners is not an easy process, it's rather difficult, but these 4 chapters all rose to the top of the competition. And I think with that, I think one of the best things about being a fraternity man is we are not afraid of competition. Not only in our chapters, we want to beat everybody on campus, right? We want to be the best, but these guys have also said, I want to be the best in Sigma Pi fraternity. So we're going to start with the Rollin Roscoe James tier. This is tier 1. This is the chapters on campuses with 20 or more social fraternities. Before I announce the winner of the Grand Sage Cup for this tier, I would like to announce the Grand Council Award winners one more time and have them stand and receive our congratulations. Representing the Rollin Roscoe James tier, the Grand Council Award winners were Omega Chapter at Oregon State University, Xi Chapter at the University of Iowa, and Alpha Phi Chapter at the University of Georgia. Would you all please stand? We want to recognize you. Over the past biennium, the winning chapter has completed over 3,000 community service hours, raised over $7,500 for philanthropy efforts, and has demonstrated a new level of excellence with their mental health awareness efforts. This chapter thrived during the pandemic, pushing their chapter to achieve a top 10 GPA ranking, having 50+ members involved in other campus activities, and a top 5 chapter ranking on their campus. After doubling their new member numbers this past year, the winning chapter, winning the Grand Sage Cup for the 3rd biennium in a row, is Omega Chapter at Oregon State University. And if you think about it, 3 bienniums in a row, that's 6 years in a row of high-performing efforts on their campus. Up next is the William Raper Kennedy tier. This is chapters on campuses with 10 to 19 social fraternities. Before I announce the winner of the Grand Sage Cup for this tier, I would like to announce the Grand Council Award winners one more time and have them stand and receive our congratulations. Representing the William Raper Kennedy tier, the Grand Council Award winners were Gamma Iota Chapter at Worcester Polytechnic Institute, Alpha Iota Chapter at Missouri S&T, and Alpha Sigma Chapter at the University of Arkansas. Would you all please stand so we can at least congratulate you again? Within the past biennium, the winning chapters accomplished tripling their membership, raising over $12,000 in philanthropic funds, and completing over 1,500 community service hours. They raised their retention rate, that's the new member to initiate, by more than 20%, while accomplishing over a 3.0 GPA for all 4 semesters of the biennium. This chapter has achieved a top 10 ranking on their campus in philanthropic organizations and overall GPA, while also being recognized for having the top graduating president of 2022 and being ranked in the top 5 community service hours accomplished. This is also the first time that this chapter has ever been recognized as the #1 chapter in the country in their tier. There's also one more thing, especially I know you were talking about you got to go meet the guys and get to know them. This chapter is also, as a group of 18 to 21-year-old men, has $130,000 in a savings account so that they can look at their own house in the future. I'd like to congratulate the Alpha Sigma chapter at the University of Arkansas. And one of the cool parts with this chapter is we're already starting to have conversations. We've met with the CFO there at the University of Arkansas, their vice president of development, and we're getting ready to try and work with them on how do we get the alumni to match them, because they want to get their land back to overlooking the stadium that they had before the chapter closed back in the 70s. Up next is the James Thompson Kingsbury tier. Those chapters on campuses with 6 to 9 social fraternities. Once again, before I announce the winner of the Grand Sage Cup for this tier, I would like to announce the Grand Council Award winners one more time and have them stand and receive our congratulations. Representing the James Thompson Kingsbury tier, the Grand Council Award winners are Theta Rho chapter at Grand Valley State University, Iota chapter at Montclair State University, and Beta Tau chapter at Valparaiso University. Please stand so we can congratulate you all for that Grand Council Award. The winning chapter had the highest GPA out of any chapter in Tier 3. They raised almost $10,000 in philanthropy funds and are a top 5 chapter on their campus. The chapter has won top philanthropic fundraising fraternity on their campus for the past biennium, most improved academic performance. They have also received an Excellence in Philanthropic Programming commendation from their campus over the past year. This will also be their first time that this chapter has ever been recognized as the #1 chapter in the country in their tier. In addition, they too have their alumni raising substantial money to renovate their house. I've had a chance to work with some of their people, both on staff and over the years, and I would like to announce that the winning chapter is Beta Tau chapter at Valparaiso University. I will add that several years ago, when the guy that came on staff, he didn't even know what the ritual was. He saw us do the initiation. He goes, "What is that?" Like, "That's our ritual?" And he then took it upon himself at that time and said, "I'm going to go back and I need to make sure my guys do this." And this has been a lot of hard work, so congratulations to these guys. Finally, we have the George Martin Patterson tier. Those chapters on campuses with 1 to 5 social fraternities. Once again, before I announce the winner of the Grand Sage Cup for this tier, I'd like to announce the Grand Council Award winners one more time and have them stand and receive our congratulations. Representing the George Martin Patterson tier, the Grand Council Award winners were Gamma Alpha chapter at Detroit Mercy, Delta Beta chapter at Monmouth University, and Iota Tau chapter at St. John's University. Please stand so we can congratulate you again for the Grand Council Award. My little guy is pumped for you guys. Throughout the past biennium, this chapter has doubled their recruitment initiate numbers, accomplished an average of 3.45 GPA, and raised over $13,500 for philanthropic efforts, all while doing more than 1,000 hours of community service. This chapter ranks in the top 2 on their campus for overall chapter GPA and overall chapter size, while maintaining the highest spring 2022 GPA on campus. This chapter also won an array of campus awards, including 2022 Fraternity of the Year, 2022 President of the Year, 2022 Scholarship and Programming Award, as well as being the 2021 Greek Week winners. Congratulations to this chapter, who I've also got to see their work, and we recognize several of them for individual awards. For the 3rd biennium in a row, Iota Tau chapter at St. John's University. While they're heading over there, can we have everybody please stand up and congratulate again all of the Biennium's Grand Sage Cup Award winners. Now here I'm going to go a little bit off script. This will be before I turn it back over to past Grand Sage Joe Palazzolo. Probably, we were just talking about a little bit ago, 2004, 2005 was when I really got a chance to get to know Joe and start working with him. We were telling Alyssa up here, I won't get into too many details, but we had to go do a membership review at a place, and we didn't really know each other. So as fraternity men, we decided to spend some time drinking some non-dairy beverages to kind of get to know one another and see what, who are you, who am I? And over the years, I've had the chance to work with him on so many different levels. I've always been pretty much working on staff, except for a few years where I went to Fisk University in Vanderbilt. And then when I came back, I remember during the process, I had to say, when I came and started the process to take this role, I told Joe, I said, I'm really impressed with your interview process. Reminded me of what I went through at Vanderbilt. Wasn't what I thought I was going to get coming back to Sigma Pi, right? And I remember sitting there and we were going through everything, and I was like, Joe, so, I've been away for a little bit. Tell me what's going on. And he was like, John, it's a whole different world. These campuses come after our men. I'm tired of it, and I want to make sure that we have the right people. I said, okay. He goes, I also know, John, that you understand our finances probably better than anybody, but do you know how to use it? I said, well, when we get it, we'll figure out how to use it. And as we shared in the State of the Fraternity, we've been investing a lot back. And one of the things that I've had the opportunity, Joe is only the second Grand Sage to serve for 2 terms. And if you know Joe, he's a straight shooter. He's going to tell you like it is, but he's going to tell you honestly and respectfully. I've had weekly phone calls with Joe for 4 years, quite a bit. Probably more calls than I have with my wife, right? And we're sitting there trying to think, what do you get a guy like Joe? You get to know him. He's not flamboyant. He's not looking to have his face put on any walls. He's not looking for all this recognition. What he cares about is the students. And he wants the students to have the best experience that they can have. And he also wants to make sure that, hey, when they trip and fall, he wants to make sure that somebody's there to pick them up and dust them off and let them know, hey, it's all right, let's get back to it. So I've had to think about, what do we get Joe for a past Grand Sage gift? So I called up my buddy, Kyle Coble, Collegiate Regalia, and said, Kyle, I'm trying to figure out something. I'm not really sure. But if there's one thing I know about Joe, I know that he is a fan of our owl. I also know that throughout this time, Joe, it's not been easy. Been a lot of arrows thrown. So thanks to Kyle, he was able to help put together something for me. And I do want to say before I show this, it won't have your name on it, Joe, because I know you wouldn't want that. But a replica of this will become the award for the Young Alumni Volunteers going forward. On this plaque, it'll say, Joseph Palazzolo, Delta Beta, 2000. Grand Sage, 2018-2022. The quote that'll be on there, choose always the way that seems best, however rough it may be. Custom will soon render it easy and agreeable. On the base of this has the creed engraved all around it. Would you please help me give Joe his outgoing Grand Sage Award? Wow, that's for you, brother. You're very welcome, man. Pretty awesome, man. Yeah. Pretty awesome. Kyle and I have been hiding it, and everybody else knew that we didn't tell you. Yeah. Now, before I turn it back over to him, there's some men that know him even better than I do. And I would like to call the New Jersey contingent to come up because they got some remarks they want to say to Joe. So please, fellas, come on up.
Not quite a roast, Joe. We'll see. Yeah, come stand up here, guys. So this will be quick. This won't be quite as long as what John and Joe are about to say. But I just want to take a moment to show support. As you can see, they're still funneling up. Keep moving over, guys. All the New Jersey area province guys here. We got 15 chapters right now, pretty well represented. A lot of it is due to Joe and his stewardship in the area over the last, 20 years, 20 plus years. So he's been a role model for not only undergrad chapters helping Delta Beta, but the crew of other guys throughout New Jersey and ever-growing Eastern Pennsylvania, Delaware, New York City, continuing to expand. Who knows what will happen moving forward. Role model for undergrads, but also for volunteers. So one of the things that Joe said to me, and I don't know if you remember this, is make sure you do something every day to make the life of Sigma Pi brother better. One thing. And that resonated with me, and I think it resonates with all the guys in the area. Try to do something every day to make Sigma Pi better, your chapter, alumni club, whatever it might be. So we're going to hear, sort of bringing it full circle, from the foundation that you built, from Devin, who's the sage at Delta Beta right now, and then Wyatt, who's the sage at Gamma Eta at Rutgers, to sort of bring it full circle for your time volunteering for our fraternity. So Devin, come on up.
So I'm going to keep this short and sweet. I know most of you know Joe as the Grand Sage of our fraternity, but I was lucky enough not to only have him as my chapter advisor, but also a really good friend of mine. Joe always had our best intentions in mind, as it was his home chapter, Delta Beta, but his love for his fraternity could be felt everywhere. I can't even count how many times I had people come over to me and say, you know, Tugboat, or, oh, you're Joe's guy. But every time I had great follow-ups about how proactive he was and how much he cared not only for his chapters, but every single individual within it. Joe would always be there to help on a drop of a dime, even though he was balancing being a professor, chapter advisor, running his own business, and I could keep going. But in the end, I couldn't be more grateful to work with this man. I'm looking forward to seeing where his next chapter leads as past Grand Sage at our university and a friend of mine.
Good evening, brothers. From past Grand Sage Chris Brown from our Gamma Eta chapter, worthy Grand Sage. In the summer of 2003, I was attending one of my first Sigma Pi universities as a member of the Grand Council. As part of our schedule, we would meet with struggling chapters and discuss what they needed to do to avoid suspension or revocation of their charters. Nearly all would listen, then flee the room as quickly as possible. One of those chapters was Delta Beta, and you were a brand new alumnus there in support. After our Come to Jesus meeting, I saw you bring your undergrads together outside to talk. Then you actually requested to come back before the Grand Council to present a plan to improve your chapter. That Delta Beta would then go on to win a Grand Council Award in 04 and then Grand Sage Cup in 06 is not the point. I knew then, in 2003, that you were going to do great things in Sigma Pi. Thank you for your dedicated service as Grand Sage. The New Jersey province is beyond proud of you, and I'm certain that the many Grand Sages born in New Jersey are proud to number you among us. But Grand Sage Tug, I'm just proud to know you, that you are my brother and my friend. Love you, brother. In solemn regard, Chris Brown.
I think I yield back now to John Frost, and we'll do a round of handshakes for everyone. Thank you.
While Joe's busy shaking hands, it's interesting too because I get the opportunity to work with these men, and it's look, they put work in, and I think it was important to know that I do want to stress this, as I know I talked with it with our undergraduates the other day. All of our volunteers, the men up here, the men out there, the women who help, they do not get paid. So could we, before I turn it back over to Joe, a round of applause for all of our volunteers, no matter what level they are, for the time, the energy, and the dedication they put into it. Can we please give them a round of applause and just say thank you for that? And now I'm going to turn it back over to Joe. Your show, Mr. Brother, past Grand Sage.
How do you follow that? Jeez. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Well, it feels like yesterday that we were in Niagara Falls, and I was giving the acceptance speech that Kent is about to give. And here we are. If you can believe it or not, I became Grand Sage on August 4th, 2018. That is 4 years and 2 weeks, 1,476 days ago. It's a long time to serve as Grand Sage, and as you might imagine, I have a whole lot of thoughts that I've been collecting to share with you here tonight. I'll get to some recognition and some thank yous coming up here in a moment, but I want to do a few things to start. First, as I said earlier, there's no way that an event like this one is as successful as it was without an absolutely outstanding staff to plan it and operate it. So whether you all know it or not, our executive office team has been working around the clock for weeks, months really, to make sure that our time in San Antonio was productive and efficient. So once again, I'd like to pause for a moment to offer our thank you and congratulations to John Frost and the executive office team for a job well done. Well done, really. This is an interesting speech to give because I've been so accessible over the last 4 years. Many of you already know my thoughts about being in this position, but I wanted to share with you a thought that I heard a few years ago that I haven't really shared with anyone yet. One of the people that I met during my time as Grand Sage was Sarah Seeley Chacon, the now former national president of Sigma Kappa sorority. I met her at the forum, which is where leaders of fraternities and sororities compare notes on their experiences and, most importantly, on what works and what doesn't work. When I was talking with Sarah, she mentioned that she was coming to the end of her own 4-year term. Hoping that I could gain some insight, I asked her what stood out to her about her time as the leader of Sigma Kappa. And what she said struck me and resonates with me still today. Sarah said that she was surprised at the overwhelming solitude of being in this position. She said she didn't realize how alone the leader of an organization could be. Sure, there are meetings and conferences and events like this one where we, the presidents, take center stage, but then nights like tonight end, we go our separate ways. The meetings go back to telephone and Zoom calls, and the president enters this unknown, unwanted state of solitude. And with my 4 years over, I couldn't agree more with Sarah's assessment. There are many things that have surprised me during my time as Grand Sage, but among them is this almost ironic solitude. Yes, I had the benefit of many friends and advisors, both inside and outside of the fraternity, all of whom offered advice and support. But the dozens, if not hundreds, of different assumptions and calculations that have to be weighed before making a decision in this organization, it's a very heavy burden. And you often find yourself making those decisions and weighing those calculations alone. So while that solitude wasn't great, I did feel that burden of leadership. But if I'm being honest, I absolutely loved shouldering that burden on behalf of Sigma Pi fraternity. That burden is an honor. So as I become a past Grand Sage, I hope that my actions and words recognize the burden of leadership that our new Grand Council is taking on through their volunteer service. And I hope that my voice is seen as one that lifts up the future, a voice that lifts you up. With my term as Grand Sage over, I'm thankful that I have men like past Grand Sages John Marino, Ed Panconi, John Williams, Larry Rivera, John Kitch, Ned Levesque to look to as examples. Please join me in thanking these gentlemen for their decades of service to Sigma Pi fraternity. Yes, Sarah was right. It is lonely at the top, and there are few people you can trust. However, as President George H.W. Bush said about our country in his inauguration speech, in our fraternity, there are 1,000 points of light doing good. And it was a great blessing during my time in office. I met so many of Sigma Pi's 1,000 points of light. I visited 111 chapters, colonies, and interest groups. And the ones that I met with, I saw the very best of the fraternity. I met with gentlemen who go out and actively improve the chapters and alumni clubs with a furious eloquence. Men like Alpha Muse chapters, Sam Jeevis, who I wish we had more of across the country. Meeting with our brothers one-on-one was inspiring, and I thought I might share a few stories with you right now. First, there is no doubt that I would not have been able to make it through these 4 years without the support and the inspiration of my undergraduate and alumni Delta Beta chapter brothers. From the men that I've known for over 20 years to the undergraduates who unknowingly made my day just by stopping by my office to say hello or sending me a text to see what's up. Those are the interactions that matter in Sigma Pi fraternity. The evening text conversations with Ryan Noonan about which classes he needs to graduate, or the chats with Cesar Monteroso and Griffin Shields about whether or not they're going to be deployed. Talking to Jack Denning about student loans, to Vin Matano about entrepreneurship, working with Anthony Focacci to update several decades of fraternity family trees, being entertained by Vinny and Joey Stingo and their nonsense with Stingo Palooza, following Sal Popolio's rise in his legal career, and then being overwhelmed with pride when he was asked to present at the Tony Cyrus Leadership Summit. That's what matters in Sigma Pi fraternity. That connection is what makes us strong. From that first interaction that I had with Brian Catapano at the Guggenheim Library, to working with guys like Brett Stevens and Andrew Buchel, Andrew Mucci, Martin Prendergast. All of that is what makes the fraternity strong for me. And then, of course, I can't move forward without thanking all of my younger chapter brothers who've been so inspiring in their work, including my guys here with me tonight, our chapter sage, Devin Barros, our third counselor, John Seda, recent alumnus, Jeremy Leonard, and one of the interns for my apparel company, Georgie Tavari. Thank you guys for making the trip down here, and thank you for being excellent representations of Sigma Pi fraternity. Speaking of that apparel company, the co-owner of that company is one of my closest friends and brothers, Mike Restrepo. And even though Mike had to head home earlier today, I can't give a speech about my time as Grand Sage without recognizing the very important role that Mike played in being a sounding board for many of my ideas and acknowledging the front row seat that he had for much of my term. In fact, really had a front row seat. There were times I was on fraternity Zoom calls where Mike was sitting next to me just out of range of the camera. He literally had a front row seat to what was going on. So if you're watching at home, Mike, on the live stream, thank you, and I appreciate your support. I mentioned the 1,000 points of light, so let me just share a few of them with you from around the country. For example, I distinctly remember Bryce Flederman and Jake Salahadin from Epsilon Chi chapter at the University of San Diego. They fought the good fight to grow their chapter under sometimes unfair conditions. And I know that their winning effort was started by Anthony Zampisi when he was in charge of the chapter. Reminded me of the efforts of the great work performed by guys like Andrew Mendolia, Tim Kravitz, and Gary Warner to improve and grow Zeta Chi chapter at Rowan University. Efforts that were later advanced by Michael Cordano, Lou Ramondi, James Burke, Lou went on to become Zeta Chi's chapter advisor. He's here with us tonight. You keep up the great work too, Lou. When I think of the points of light, I think of Bobby Brown from Epsilon Lambda chapter at Eastern Kentucky. I think of Austin Ryan from Eta chapter at Purdue. I sent out hundreds of handwritten notes over my time as Grand Sage, and those two young men were among the few who sent notes back. So if they're watching, Bobby and Austin should know that their notes lifted me up when I received them. Those young men are points of light for Sigma Pi fraternity. I know we have Cruz Minot here from Beta Psi chapter at East Stroudsburg tonight. When I think of Beta Psi chapter, I also think of Wendell Smallwood and Brandon Wallach and the impact that they had during their time as undergraduates. Brandon's finishing up his doctorate this semester, someone to keep an eye on for the future leadership for the fraternity. I have to say thank you in particular to the young men at Beta Nu chapter at SIU Carbondale. In particular, thank you to Noah Green and Alex Napi, who checked in with me on a regular basis. I visited almost every chapter we have, and when I arrived at Beta Nu chapter, they had their entire chapter, 40 men, standing on the front porch, waiting to greet me, all wearing shirts and ties. It was a bit overwhelming, but it was pretty awesome. Our Gamma Mu chapter at Wisconsin Oshkosh, another one of our points of light, reminds me a lot of my guys at Monmouth. Guys like Brandon Pollock, Kirk Caldor, Cameron Cruz, Jesse Liverette, I think they embody that work hard, play hard mentality that defines fraternity life these days. Closer to home, I'm still inspired by the incredible efforts of guys like Connor Stacy and Dalton Sikora in not just starting Iota Upsilon chapter at Stockton University, but in their efforts to keep our brothers connected now that they are alumni. I know Jamie's proud of them, and I'm proud of them too. Over this term, I've had the chance to connect with the leaders of the future, not just in the fraternity, but the future of our communities. Young men like Theta Tau chapter at William Patterson's John Padilla, Iota Tau chapter at St. John's Don Pintavalli, Zeta Eta chapter at Santa Clara's Jim O'Brien, Theta Phi chapter at Penn Tech's Mike Coletti. We'd be lucky to have these men as leaders in the fraternity, but we need them as leaders in our communities. I'm reminded of walking on the campus of William and Mary College with Alpha Eta chapters, now former Sage Spencer Zullo, and the remarkable story he told me about how mental health concerns impacted his family and how things improved and became better. Stories like his are what make the connections in Sigma Pi fraternity so special. And there were some other things I learned on the road, like what Hunter Johnson from Iota Lambda chapter at Arkansas Tech taught me. Any of you ever heard of a dig and swig? You may want to Google that. I feel like the Southern chapters may know what that is. You get drunk and dig a hole just for the fun of it. The next time one of you Southern chapters has a dig and swig, you invite me. I'm bringing the whole Jersey Shore down there with me. Dig and swig. You know, I thanked everyone who I wanted to thank during my speech in 2018, but a few people do merit some words before I sit down, call it a night. First, I've got my family watching on the live stream tonight. Thank you for your support for my entire life, and especially over the last 4 years. I'm looking forward to spending more time with my nephews when I get back home. And a similar thank you to my colleagues at NJCC and Monmouth for their unwavering support of my work for the fraternity. And then next, the Salvesons. My goodness. I cannot thank Alyssa Salveson enough for the work that she did as my First Lady of Sigma Pi fraternity. Thank you. And thank you, Paul, for lending Alyssa to the fraternity. With Alyssa as the First Lady, I think that makes Paul the first gentleman. Once removed, right? I spent hours and days, really, preparing for this stuff, the speeches and the meetings and conducting our business. You should know that Alyssa spent just as much time preparing for all the things that go on behind the scenes. She hosted social gatherings on my behalf, including getting food and beverages, preparing invitations, working with the executive office staff on gifts for family and friends. I can go on and on. Alyssa is so committed to Sigma Pi. She gave birth to 3 boys during the last 4 years, all future owls, of course. So you were an amazing First Lady for this fraternity. You did Sigma Kappa proud. You did the Salvesons proud. Thank you. Thank you very much, Alyssa. Please. And then finally to my whole New Jersey team, mob over here, the guys who are always there for me, Paul Gorman, Ian Wolf, Paul Salveson, Guy Madsen and Richard Mills back home, Sam Jeeves, Igor Miatov, Lou Ramondi, so many more. All you guys made these last 4 years so much less stressful and so much more meaningful for me. I appreciated you checking in on me and asking how I'm doing. I always got a text from Ian before the Grand Council calls telling me, have fun, good luck. It really meant a whole lot, and as Ian already knows, my time is over as Grand Sage, but it's just the beginning of being re-engaged with the province level on a more regular basis, which I'm really looking forward to. So let me leave you with a few words from Pythagoras himself. He taught his students, rest satisfied with doing well, and leave others to talk of you as they please. Good advice for those in the leadership, by the way. It was my honor to serve Sigma Pi fraternity as your Grand Sage. I hope I did you well over the last 4 years, and I believe the best is yet to come for Sigma Pi fraternity because I believe in you. Thank you for believing in me. Thank you. Thank you. At this point, I would like to recognize and call up our new Grand Sage, Kent Varney.
I didn't know. I thought I got a gavel.
No, there's nothing here.
Oh, we don't get a gavel?
The medallion's not here, the gavel's
Okay.
not here.
Everybody can be seated. Now, I'm used to saying that every day, so it's like I told the guys the other day, we were walking through the procession. I said, guys, this is how I feel every day when I walk into my office. Everybody stands up, and I tell them when to sit. So it's a great experience. And, guys, I'm not going to sit here. I know you all would like to go experience the river walk tonight. I'm not going to keep you here very long. We've been in some of these, and people would talk for a good hour. I'm not prepared to do that right now. But I'm going to bring up 3 points. And the first point I'm going to do is we've recognized a lot of people here tonight. And there's one person that we really need to recognize. Jill, will you stand up? For those... Everybody, this is, if you don't know, this is Jonathan's wife, and that's his 2 kids, and that's her mother beside him. I've known Jill for a long time. I've known Jonathan for a long time. I was his consultant at UMSL. And that was a big chapter, boys. He wasn't the biggest man in the chapter. But the first time I met Jill, I said, Jill, do you need glasses? I said, because you're much too prettier for Frost, okay? So, Jill, thank you. Thank you for letting us use your husband. Thank you for all the times that he has gone on trips, calls for me at 7:30 in the morning, 7:30 at night. Joe, God knows how many times Larry calls him a day. So, thank you, Jill. We really appreciate it. I appreciate everything, and thank you for your sacrifices. That's all right. I'm good. I'll just roll. With that being said, that leads us to my first point. No individual is successful in life. You are successful because you've got a good team. You've got a good support system. When you guys go home, thank your parents. Thank your grandparents. Thank the people who raised you. Thank the other alumni. because the reason that you're successful is because you've got a good support system. The last 2 years, when I was appointed to council, I heard it was going to be miserable. It's just going to be bickering and fighting. I can honestly say we never fought. We never argued. We debated. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we don't. But at the end of the day, we realized we were brothers. We were trying to do the right thing, trying to make the right choices. So go, get you a support system. No sage can do it alone. No treasurer can do it alone. No alumni can do it alone. I heard the gentleman from that received the Founders Award. He didn't do that by himself. He organized it. But if he didn't have a team with him, he couldn't have done it. So don't be afraid to ask for help. Go out there and get it. And it goes to my second point. Guys, we've got great traditions, but we're under attack. You watch the news. Look at tonight. We see chapters doing great things after great things after great things. How many times have you ever seen that on Fox News? How many times have you ever seen it on CNN? You don't see those things. You only see the bad. And we do have some bad traditions. Hazing needs to stop. It is not accessible in this world today. Forced alcohol consumption needs to stop. It is not acceptable in today's fraternal world. If we want to survive for the next 125 years, we have to adapt. We have to change our structures. We have to understand that the old ways, as far as those two things, don't exist no more. And it will not be tolerated. It was not tolerated from the previous Grand Council and will not be tolerated from this one. But we do great traditions. And those traditions are the philanthropy. It's the gathering. It's the uniting here tonight. Those are the traditions that have to sustain. You know, Eastern Kentucky University raises money every Christmas for kids who don't have Christmas presents. But you know what? That's not going to be on the news. The fact that you raised all that money for your school and got that house, the school didn't really want to put that on there. Now, they wouldn't care to take your money, but they don't want to give you publicity. Guys, quit doing stupid things. And those two things aren't stupid. I understand that. Hey, I was your all's age. And good Lord knows I'm happy they wasn't social media then. But that is now. Hazing and forcing people to drink are intentional decisions. They're not stupid decisions. And they have to end. If not, we're going to be losing chapters. And it finally gets to me, to the last thing. When you read our pledge manual, the first day you join this chapter, we're not called friends. We're not called pals. We're called brothers. And that's a different meaning. Because a brother takes care of you in the good and the bad. I look around here. 20-some years ago, I met Brian DeVoe, I met Larry Rivera, I met other people here. A hillbilly from Eastern Kentucky. And I do. I got that southern accent, and I'm trying to tune it down a little bit tonight, but it will come out. We still own you in basketball. But we're brothers. I look around this room. There's people from every different walk of life, different religions, different races, different socioeconomic backgrounds. I tell JT, we got guys who live in the penthouse, we got guys who live in the outhouse. And that's just how we do it. But we get along. And it's why? It's based upon the creed. It's diffusing culture. It's the guys who are from Georgia meeting the guys from Oregon and taking things back from your life, taking parts of those, taking something back. It's meeting new people, learning new things. Instead of trying to be divisive, we're inclusive. But we just take good guys. We don't want criminals. We don't want no heathens. That's a Southern word. We want to learn. We want to learn from each other. I mean, just this week, I've met so many people, and they're from different parts of the country, different, to me, some of y'all talk weird. Okay? I ain't gonna lie. What? It's true, Joe. But we take that back with us. We learn from each other. We don't stop that learning. We try to make ourselves better. And I will tell you this right now. The Grand Council you picked is a great team. We'll do what we say we're going to do. Because we don't fail. You look at that. They're alphas. And when you got people like that who are motivated and ready to make changes and do maybe not the most popular decision, but do what's right. And when you guys go back, that's what you have to learn. You've got to learn, you've got to make the right decision and not the popular one. Because at the end of the day, you've got to go to bed by yourself. And you've got to look at yourself. And if you don't think you made the right decision because you failed to popularity, then you need to evaluate your leadership skills. So I challenge you guys, because I'm about done. I challenge you guys to go back to your chapters, to end the bad traditions, to perpetuate the good traditions. Do what you do well. If you need something, call us. That's what we're here for. That's why we volunteer our time, because we want to see you to be successful. We want to see you grow. We want to be your brothers. I mean, there's nothing better than watching guys talk and say, man, I'm in law enforcement. Well, you got Charles Pecanella. I know I just ruined your last name. But we got Chuck over there from Irvine. He's Secret Service agent. He can help you get through the doors. That's what we're doing this for. Use the information out there. If you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, you want to be a nurse, find somebody. We've got somebody. Joe probably knows somebody, Frost, Brian, JT. We know those people. We can help you. We can help you get through the doors. We can help you avoid the mistakes that we made because we didn't have somebody. So do that. Go back to your campuses. Try to be leaders. If you need help, let us know. And have a great year. When we come back for 126, well, the 57th Convocation, we'll be 127 years old. Let's keep it going, because you know what? We're not going to be here forever. Your grandkids and your great-grandkids are going to be the ones leading this fraternity for the next year. I'll tell you one story. Last November, me and Jonathan went out to the OCC golf tournament. Well, we were stuck in traffic at LAX, and Frost was cussing me because I was making him take me to the red eye. And I said, you know what? I said, wouldn't it be something to initiate Larry's son, Jacob? And it wasn't because I'm friends with Larry. It's because it was the right thing to do. And tomorrow, that young man's going to initiate. It's going to fulfill one of his dreams. It's going to unite the family, because Larry has 50 guys who are his cousins, brothers, third cousins, twice removed, who are in this fraternity. But what meant was, I got a call one night about 11:30, 12 o'clock. It was Jonathan Frost, Brian DeVoe, Larry's family, and they presented Jacob his pledge pen. Put Larry in tears. You won't believe it, but it really did. He can cry. He does have that old crusty core has a soft heart. So that's why we do this. And tomorrow morning will be probably the best decision I've made in this fraternity in 25 years, is watching that young man initiate. Because this is why we do it. So with that being said, guys, have a great night. Do not fall into the river because you don't want to deal with me in the morning. All right? So here's to the next 125. Let's have a good one.
How are you going to tell us we have accents, Ken? At this time, I'd like to recognize our 2020 Founders Award winner, Father Mike Hobson, to offer our benediction. Father.
Let us pray. Eternal God, we thank you for the wonderful celebration of the founding of the Brotherhood of Sigma Pi this week. May all of our brothers, present or not, continue to inspire and support one another in living out our ideals in our daily lives. May our undergraduates receive continued assistance and strength within their chapters, granting them good health of body, mind, and soul. May wisdom guide them in their discernment when extending bids to potential neophytes. And may they lead by example, mindful of those who journey before them along the path of the quest for excellence. May our alumni be uplifted in seeing our virtues continued to be extolled in those who follow us, always willing to guide and reach out to our younger brothers when asked for assistance. May our newly elected Grand Council govern with the wisdom of our founding fathers, William Raper Kennedy, Thompson Kingsbury, George Martin Patterson, and Roland Roscoe James, being guided and inspired by our beginnings and accomplishments these past 125 years. And may the staff of our executive office be refreshed with well-deserved rest for all their preparations in making possible this celebration. And last of all, may we return home safely to our destinations, going forth with deeper and greater friendships amongst our brotherhood. Amen.
Thank you, Father Mike. And finally, everyone, as we close out this banquet, I would invite everyone to stand up and join together in singing the fireside song. So feel free to round up around the room, as you see the gentleman doing on the side over here. No, I'll go down there in a moment. Yeah. Give that to Christian.
I am looking for past Grand Sage John Williams to start us off, wherever you are, John. There's the man.
We gather round the fireside bright in bonds of brotherhood tonight, and our voices lustily to Sigma Pi fraternity. Long may she live, and may there be true fellowship eternally. Once more we pledge our loyalty to Sigma Pi fraternity. The circle changes with the years, the brothers come and disappear, but still the fire is burning bright among our chapter's heart tonight. Long may you live, and may there be true fellowship eternally. Once more we pledge our loyalty to Sigma Pi fraternity. The Sigma that the mighty throng of brothers long since absence gone retain their love and loyalty to Sigma Pi fraternity. Long may she live, and may there be true fellowship eternally. Once more we pledge our loyalty to Sigma Pi fraternity.
We are here in San Antonio for the first time in several years as a fraternity. Welcome back, everybody. We are here to do a couple of important things, not the least of which is celebrating 125 years of Sigma Pi fraternity. When someone asks about what is the relevance of fraternities in the year 2022, it's this. This socializing, this connection, these interactions, that is what we do. It's what fraternities do. It's also why I hope we're going to be relevant for the next 125 years, and I think that starts this weekend with you guys and interacting with our undergraduates.
The main thing is really just connecting with a lot of the brothers that I've met over the last 20 years, and some lifelong friendships I developed from people around the country that otherwise I never would have met. And then when that many people stand up and recite the creed together, it just puts chills down your spine. Sigma Pi is bigger than what we realize. Our founding fathers really set up some things at the very beginning that allowed us to sustain financially when there was a break. And the fact that we've done 125 years straight is very impressive.
Brotherhood is the gathering of disparate viewpoints, of different ideas. I found it very interesting to talk to people from different parts of the country with different cultures, and you always learn something. That is the brotherhood, because I can come to a convocation or I can go to a different city and I can pick up the phone and I can call someone that I have worked with and I may not have seen for 10 years, may not have seen for 20 years. And it's like we've all of a sudden reconnected to the point where those 10 or 20 years were simply a split second, if you will.
The thing I'm looking forward to most at this convocation this week is actually getting back together as a national organization for the first time in 4 years. It is part of our tradition, it's part of our history.
I come to Convocation because I absolutely enjoy the fellowship with other fraternity members from all across the nation that I don't get to see on an everyday basis, despite the challenges of a global pandemic. To be able to see the expression on their faces, to shake their hands, that's what keeps me coming back.
One of the reasons we're here is so that we can meet folks like you and folks that are undergraduates and let them, I guess, see what a lifetime commitment really means. Because it's not just a college experience, it is a lifelong experience. You have committed to the fraternity for life.